Welcome back to another episode of Pathetic, the podcast. Tonight, we are going to completely ignore New York baseball. They don't deserve us tonight because we are just a few days away from the beginning of the NFL season is starting as we're recording this, but for the purposes of New York, we are just a few days away from that. Thank you for tuning in once again. Link.Tr.ee is in the corner. Email us. I know those of you, there's some people waiting for a special episode that sent in stuff about top 5 candies. That's coming out. That's going to be a little bit of a filler thing. But tonight, it's NFL, New York NFL, and we're each going to give you a weekly 3 NFL picks. We're going to keep track of that. We're going to have some kind of a punishment for the person who comes in dead last. So welcome, Mikey. How are you?
I'm great. I got all juiced up this week, all kinds of jacked up from seeing that spreadsheet with the coverage map of which game is showing up where and who's the announcers and everything else. I'm ready to go. I cannot wait for this Sunday. This is almost as good for me as opening day. This is like very close second to that. I know your guys both number one when it comes to favorite sporting event of the year is week 1 of NFL.
Yeah.
It's up there for me, and I'm all kinds of jacked up and ready to go. Jeff, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Football's coming up, obviously, and I'm excited. I've been waiting. We've been waiting for this for weeks, if not months. And I got to tell you, I think my number one sporting event is the week prior to week 1 because it's just exciting. You know, it's like Christmas Eve. I can't wait to finally get football back. I love baseball, love the Yankees, but it's getting stale at this point. Right? It's just the Yankees are good, they're bad, they're good, they're bad. It's time to get into football. So I'm ready to rock and roll with it. Let's go.
It was crazy. You guys did the show on your own last week. Of course, I was in Disney, and I was trying to, I'm always thinking of football, but it was like 99 degrees, and the heat index was like 109. And I'm like, that is so unlike football season.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm back in Jersey. It's cold and crisp in the morning. It's only getting into the 70s. Let's go.
Can't wait.
Mike, you and I, obviously both of us are Jet fans. We're all geared out over here. Jeff, as a Giant fan, you've got a really interesting season coming up. You know, you got a coach and a GM who might be on the hot seat, maybe not. I thought you had a great draft for as much as you can grade a draft, 3 months after the draft. But why don't you start us off on what you think about, kind of projections for the Giants this year? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I touched on this last week with Mike. If you listen to the show, I'm just looking for competitive football this year more than I am wins. And, I'm not feathering the nest for a bad season. I still expect the Giants to be better. But the problem the Giants have is they can be 60% better, which I think they are. But that schedule is arguably the hardest schedule in NFL history. I mean, it's that bad. So what I want to see is close games. I don't want to see them get blown out. I want to see them compete in the division. I want to see them, maybe finish ahead of the Cowboys this year, beat the Cowboys finally, and the Eagles at least once. So the expectations, it's a weird season because we have the rookie quarterback who, we'll probably see a full display next year. But my expectations are competitive football. I expect them to be competitive. And I expect them to get some wins that may shock people. I don't see them making the playoffs, just to be completely honest. But and it's just really because of the schedule, and they're still kind of rebuilding. But I do think they're going to compete. I think the defense could be a top 10 defense. And I think Russell Wilson, and I know Uncle Ted's going to make the face, but I think he's, I think he's going to show something this year that he's still got some gas in the tank. He's having fun here. He's enjoying himself more than we saw him enjoy himself in any other place besides Seattle. So, and I think Dable is just based on what we're hearing, is running a really good ship right now. Like the players are connecting with him. The rookies love him. Jackson Dart loves him, and he clearly loves Jackson Dart if you look at the way he looks at him. The one thing I will mention, though, just as a sidebar here to expectations is I don't know why Jackson Dart is QB2. I'm not a fan of that. I would have kept him as QB3 because theoretically he can actually play week 1, and now you got him for at least a few games. And I want him to watch for a little while. If Russell Wilson gets hurt, now you have Dart just thrown into the fire. I thought that was a mistake by Dable. But I guess we'll get to that in a little bit. But again, expectations and hope for me would be competitive football, to see them better than last year.
Can you throw out? I know the schedule's crazy, but can you throw out a what you think a record might be? We'll take a look at it at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go through the games again because I feel better about the Giants now than when I did when we did our last win-loss. I got to go through it again. I would say just off the top of my head, and I think maybe we should do it again before the season starts, or let's say after week 1. I'm going to say 6 wins.
Okay.
I think the Giants will get 6 wins.
So 6-11. Okay, yeah, and we'll look at it. We'll look at it next week after the first after we do our week 1 wrap up. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think about the Giants? Quickly, because I know we're more Jet guys.
Yeah, I mean, the schedule is brutal. Not only is the schedule brutal, but your bye is not till week 14. So you're going to be playing all these games in a row to start it with. Usually that's what they do to the Jets, is they put their bye week at the end of the season, or they put it like the week 4, and then the rest of the season you're stuck with it. We actually got lucky and got it in the middle of the season, but we'll get to the Jets in a minute. I'm actually encouraged that he looked at what he saw, Dable, and he wants to put Jackson Dart in there at number 2, because I think he's progressing a lot faster than even I think the most optimistic Giant fans have. I think he's looked really good in the preseason games. He's looked more competent than Daniel Jones or Zach Wilson has looked in the last couple of draft picks that both of these teams have made. He looks unbelievable. So I'm happy that they're stepping him up and saying, listen, you're going to be the backup. If something happens to Russell Wilson, which certainly is not out of the question, he's probably going to see some reps this year. And I think that's good for him to not see them right away. But I think if you want to get to week 9 or week 10 and start to get him in a little bit, I think the sooner you can do that, the better. So I'm actually encouraged that Dable put him there, as opposed to going with Jameis Winston and just kind of throwing up your hands and saying, well, we're not going to play the rookie, even if the rookie is better than Jameis Winston at this point, which I think he is. So I'm optimistic for the season. I think you're right, Jeff. Probably 6-7 wins is probably what they're looking at. If they go 7-10 and are competitive in a lot of these games, and Dart gets into some of those late games in the season and starts to progress well, I think you're setting yourself up really well for next year and the year after to really start to go after a playoff spot and make a deep run. So
The one thing I'll add real quick, Uncle Ted, if I can, before you go. So, Mike, I agree. I think it does show that Dable sees progression. And, I know it's preseason, but you can see he looks the part. He doesn't look nervous. He reads defenses well. He's audibling. So he's doing all the right things. But if you wanted to start him, let's say like week 10 or week 11 or even a little deeper, you could have done that and still made him QB3. The reason why I didn't want him being QB2 is the risk, like you said, of the high possibility Russell Wilson gets hurt, let's say week 1. Now you're throwing him into week 1, which I don't want to happen. I don't think he should.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I didn't want him as QB2. It is encouraging, though, you're right, Mike, that he feels this way about him where he's putting him there. But I feel like you could have accomplished that late season start for Dart even if you made him QB3. It wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. My feeling is I kind of feel along the same lines as Mike. When you look at your team and you look at a guy like Jackson Dart, who had an incredible preseason. I know it's only preseason. It was an incredible preseason. And then if you do make him 3, maybe his feeling was, how do I look the team in the eye and say, the guy who was our best quarterback, I'm going to put at number 3. But I do understand what you're saying, Jeff, that, and I, before this show started, we were talking about it. How do you keep Jameis Winston at this point if you're going to keep him as number 3. I mean, Jameis has to be, and to his credit, he hasn't said anything bad about it, but he's got to be annoyed about it. Like, I mean, he's going to be the emergency quarterback. Only if somebody gets hurt can he come in. So, so that's a little weird. But Jeff, I want to say one thing to you about quarterbacks and not wanting Jackson Dart to play and all that stuff right now. Don't be afraid to love. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because as Jeff fans, we put ourselves out there. Now, we get hurt a lot, and we don't want you to get hurt. But if this kid is really it, don't be afraid for them to say you're going in, because a lot of teams have done that. Look at Brock Purdy, a 6th-round pick, and he's playing. And I think Jackson Dart, you know how I feel about Jackson Dart. I told you that before the draft. I would have loved for the Jets to taken him.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to love. I do think the Giants are going to be a better team, but the record won't reflect it because of the schedule is just so brutal.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 5 wins for the Giants, but not a bad 5-win season. And I think
competitive
that's good
losses.
Too. Very competitive losses. Yeah. So I and good for them, because what it'll do, it'll get them a better draft pick. And Mike said, you could be in a position where all of a sudden you go on that magic carpet ride next year.
Yeah. I'm going to get a shirt with Jackson Dart on it that says "Don't be afraid to love." That's going to sell
I think
like crazy.
I think
but
it's
I'm
true.
with you. Like, listen, actually, I don't want to say I love the guy yet, because he's, he hasn't played it down in regular season, but I love what I see. But
Yeah.
I just, what it is, and not to harp on it too much, but but it is a big story right now. I think that he's QB2. It's actually huge if you think about it. I don't think there's any risk to benching him for the year versus starting him. Like, there's a lot of risk starting him too early. If you keep him on the bench, even till week 15, there's zero risk. The only thing that can happen is he actually learns from Russell Wilson. And let's just say everyone thinks he stinks. Let's say he does stink, right?
He does.
We'll use that. We'll use that as the baseline. He still is a professional, and he does things the right way. He's in the classroom. He knows how to play the position. So to watch that, I think for at least, let's say 10 or 15 weeks, can only make Dart better. And putting him in too early is a massive risk or reward. So I just look at it as like a risk analysis. I'd rather see him benched at least half the year.
Mr. Unlimited.
Oh, and he better not pull that crap here. That's for sure.
I think you'll be very happy, Jeff, if you get to that New Orleans game and you're 2-2 or 1-3. I think you're probably pretty happy.
Sure.
Especially if those losses to the Chiefs, the Cowboys, you pull off either beating the Cowboys or the Commanders.
Yeah. And the Chargers,
I think you feel pretty good. And Chargers maybe even too. And it's a home game. West Coast team traveling all the way across for a 1:00 start on the East Coast is a good spot there. If you can get that New Orleans game at 1-3 or 2-2, I think you're probably pretty happy of where you are. Just don't go in there 0-4.
No, I'd sign up for 1-3 going into that right now. Just get a win.
Yep.
Let's get at least a win. I'd like to win this Sunday because they play well against Washington usually. So, but we'll see what happens. Should be an interesting year for them.
That's an interesting game because I'm not completely 100% sold on Washington.
I'm with you. I just said that today to my buddy at work.
If you want to sell me on you, go out there week 1 and kick the pants off the Giants.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to do that. I kind of think it might be a close game. But and now moving on to the team that we, as I said, me and Mikey extend our love every year to. And they don't only break our hearts, but after they rip it out of our chest, they smash it with giant black Timberland boots and then laugh at us. So, Mikey, I'm gonna let you start off about the Jets because you're always the voice of reason.
Of course, you know me. I am Mr. Reason when it comes to the Jets. Of course,
17-0.
Well, let's not go crazy here, but honestly, I am beyond confident in this regime. I think they're not going to put up with any nonsense. I think it starts week 1 kicking the crap out of Aaron Rodgers, making him wish he would have went in retirement instead of coming there. This defense is still very, very good at all the big key positions. The offense has a ton of skill positions. You're going to have a quarterback who can actually move around, get the ball to people, make plays on his own as opposed to trying to, just run, pass, punt. Well, it's not going to be our offense this year. It might be run, punt, but, that's neither here nor there. But I think the playoff drought ends this year. The schedule is not crazy. The team is great, in a lot of the key positions. And the coach I think, has everything you want him to be. He's got a little Parcells in him. He's got a little Belichick in him. He's got a little Rex Ryan in him. All the key pieces that you need to really make this team tick and to have him be running the show. You haven't heard any nonsense at all this entire preseason. You haven't heard boo about anyone being pissed off. You settled your 2 contract disputes that you needed to do. You got Garrett Wilson and Sauce signed. This team is primed and ready to go. You just have to execute now. You can't be making the stupid penalties. You can't be making the dumb turnovers. You gotta run the clock correctly, which I think he can do. But I'm thinking this team is a 10 or 11 win team. And
Wow.
I think when we're sitting here in November, when that little graphic comes up with all the playoff teams and the rankings, we're either going to be in a wild card spot or absolutely in the hunt for a spot here, because you're playing the NFC South, which is the weakest division in all of football. You have those 4 games there that not everyone else in the AFC is not going to get. So I'm confident that this playoff drought ends this year, and people can stop saying, that this is the longest playoff drought in professional sports at the moment. And I'll leave it there. Teddy,
I love it.
fire away.
Well, listen, I do think the Jets are going to be in the hunt for a playoff spot. I'm not going to declare that they're going to make it, but I do think they'll be in the hunt for a playoff spot. Jeff, I really like Justin Fields. I really do. And I talked to a lot of people, big Steeler fans, some people in Pittsburgh, and they all wanted Justin Fields back. And the regime wanted him back. It's just the Jets kind of gave him more guarantees as far as playing time, what they envisioned him to be, things like that.
Mhm.
I think he's going to be okay. Are there going to be games where you look at it and shake your head and say, "Oh my God, what was he throwing there?" Yeah, but you know what? We get that with everybody now. So I'm excited about that. Mike, I agree with everything you said about the regime, everything, because we've seen it. This is if you're not a Jeff fan and you're only looking, from the outside in, you don't really see it as well as Mikey and I did, because we follow them so intently, and every single day there was drama. There was no drama. It was the most boring offseason you can possibly come up with. The only thing that was, made it a little eventful was yesterday finding out that AVT is now gone for the year. And I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you something. That's not going to crush us, because we do have depth on the offensive line. Tippmann will go in. But Mike, you know what this does? It makes it so now the question of, hey, he's got a lot of injuries. Do we pay him on that 5th-year option thing and all? Here's the answer. No, you don't. You don't. And if he goes somewhere and he does well, fine. Let him do it. I think they're going to be okay. I like I said, I agree with everything Mike said about the regime, about Aaron Glenn. Would I like to see them pick up another wide receiver? I really would. But I do have a feeling that this kid, Arian Smith from Georgia, is going to be something. I watched him this preseason. I didn't see him drop anything. And they said that was his biggest thing. And a lot of the beat reporters said he caught almost everything they threw at him. The running game is really good. Defensively, I think they also have a chance of being a top 5 defense. And I'm happy with what they did there. Mike, I'm going to say 10-7. Not sure if that'll get us in the playoffs, but I'm going to say 10-7 also. It's It's probably crazy, and Jeff, you'll be able to throw these numbers at us and laugh at the end of the season, maybe.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
that's
the
where I'm
Jets are a
going.
wild card. They're a wild card. I don't know what they're going to be. I don't know what Glenn's going to be. I like what I see. I like what I see from the offseason. What just the whole culture shift. And
Yeah.
I know people hate that word culture, but it's a part of football. The coach creates the culture. We can talk about Giant and Jet coaches, since the Tom Coughlin era, right? That just created a bad culture and the whole team suffered. I'm not really with you on Fields, though, Uncle Ted. And you know that. That's one,
Yeah.
we agree
No,
on
I
a lot
know.
of things. We disagree and agree on a lot of things, but I would say we agree on more. But we're not on the same page with Fields. I just don't buy him. I really don't. I don't think he could throw well. My fear with Fields and the Jets is, what are you going to do when you're down and you're going to rely on Fields' arm now? And you can't just run the ball. If you're down 15 or 16 points, right, in the first half, which is going to happen more than likely.
Sure.
Now you have to rely on Justin Fields turning into a throwing quarterback, which he is not. He's a below average thrower who can run really well, and he'll give you a couple decent plays with his arm. That's it. So I think Fields, again, it wouldn't shock me if he did well. I remember when they got him, I said, just based on the contract, it was a great move by the Jets, right? Because maybe there's something there, right? We saw it with Baker Mayfield. He went to Tampa, and all of a sudden he's doing great, right? So you never know. I just wouldn't. I can't go more than 8 wins for the Jets because of Justin Fields. I don't think he's going to be able to get you guys there. But I love the defense. The Vera Tucker injury is not that bad for the reasons you mentioned, Uncle Ted, but also you have an elusive quarterback that can deal with a couple of malfunctions on the offensive line if it does happen. It's not like you have a statue back there. So you'd rather have the guy in there, but it's not a catastrophe. But I love the defense, and I love the team right now, what they are, which makes a huge difference. But I have the Jets at 8 wins. And I think it's going to be because, Fields will be average. He'll be okay.
And listen, the good news is that if Fields really does, crap the bed and we can't come back in those games, next year there's about 5 quarterbacks coming out that will probably be available to us. That
not Arch Manning, by the way.
Listen,
not Arch, not Arch.
I watched that.
That was
game.
rough. Me too.
I was stunned.
I know,
at
me
how
too.
bad he was.
Felt bad for him.
And that's a tough place to have your first real start at noon on national television in the horseshoe with a defending national champion. Like, that's just almost an impossible place to go in and win. And Ohio State's defense is legit. I don't know if you're going to have a ton of quarterbacks who are. You could have Justin Fields go out there. I don't know if he's putting up more points than what Arch did there.
And I thought that Sarkisian did a terrible job offensively. Their play selection and the way it was awful.
So
it was
bad.
Awful. We're used to seeing that, Ted. We see that a lot with the Jets
so
play
we see
calling.
it right
That's
away.
I felt like I was watching watching Jets Dolphins when Tua was hurt. And it was Mike White versus I forget the name of the guy, but that's what it just looked like. It didn't look like there was much going on in either direction. So
one thing before we get to our NFL picks for the week, and we are going to pick 3 games a week, as I mentioned. The guy that finishes last, we're going to try to give him some kind of a punishment. But Mike, you were a huge Adrian Martinez fan, the quarterback that was on the Jets from the USFL, and they kept Brady Cook. And I think one of the reasons they kept Brady Cook was, I don't know how much of the preseason you watched, but Brady Cook looked really serviceable. Really. Like, I mean, when he came in, you just saw him. He took over the huddle. He didn't look like a kid that just came out of college and was not picked to do anything, because I mean, he was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
So I think that was an interesting pick. And I think somewhere in their minds, they have this could be something down the road. But my also worry is if Tyrod Taylor is not healthy, they got to I know, but they got to get a quarterback in here. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
I didn't really see Martinez, but I heard from a lot
He
of my
just signed with San
Jeff.
Francisco,
Oh,
so he's
okay.
going to be like their third string or something in San
Yeah,
Francisco.
yeah.
So good for him. I mean,
How about the guy right across the locker room there? Bring Jameis over at that point. Make a trade. If it
Bro.
gets to the point where Tyrod's hurt,
I want Jameis in my locker room.
no,
Hands off Jameis.
I would
Hands
take,
off Jameis. I want him in the Giant locker room.
You know what made me nervous? Connor Hughes was saying that the Jets were basically out, I guess because of the waiver wire or whatever. New England took Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah.
And the Jets were going to take him as a backup. Listen, he's a nice enough guy. I am not a Tommy Cutlets fan at all. And I would have been like, oh, come on. And then all the Guidos would have been out there yelling for Tommy Cutlets to come in.
Oh, my God. That's the problem. You would have had the whole clown show that we had, which didn't help us at all. Like, I was part of the clown show. I was like the leader of my car, at least. But that's what it was. It was a clown show. You don't. The Jets didn't need Tommy DeVito in that mess.
Not at all.
Mike, you said it.
We've seen this movie before. We've done it with Tim Tebow. We've done it with all these guys.
Yes.
I don't want any of that, and I'm glad they didn't go that route.
Thank
and
God.
Mike, you said it. Like the Jets, that there's been no garbage outside of the field like there was last year with Rodgers going to Mexico or Costa Rica, whatever it was. There's been nothing. Bringing Tommy DeVito in, now you have it's going to be about the tailgate and the chicken parm outside more than it is the game.
Right? A green Tommy Cutlets shirt at this point.
My guy I work with, who works out of the Boston market, he sent me a picture of him and his daughter with Tommy Cutlets' agent, he's just
he's a tool.
He's such a tool bag.
Tommy's a nice guy. Like he's a good guy, but not his agent's a clown.
Right, Mike.
The stereotypical Gindaloon. Yeah,
he's a Gindaloon. Exactly.
And can he lose the hat, please? He looks ridiculous.
He wears the hat, I think, in the shower. I'm pretty sure. So.
And did you see the video of him and Tommy Cutlets? They were at a street fair up in the Boston area. He's got to get to know the area and where are the cutlets? Where are the cutlets at? Shut up, stupid.
Yeah, that guy's. I didn't like him even when I was on the Tommy DeVito bandwagon or whatever for 4 weeks. I couldn't stand the agent. The agent was he was an embarrassment.
It's a little too much. A little too much.
He was a bit much. He was, but now let's get to our week 1 picks. This is not quite the Mike Francesa
where they play for pay.
Exactly. But Jeff, why don't you lead us off? You have 3 picks. Lead us off. I'm going to keep track of this, and we're going with the spreads.
Yes.
Right. So where are we getting these spreads from, so we're all on the same page? I think ESPN.com has the lines for.
All right.
The
Well,
games.
Mike, if you have that up,
I do.
Confirm the spreads. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Let me know. Let me know if mine.
We'll
I think I got it
ESPN
from DraftKings
ones.
Yeah, I'm sure they're probably similar, but
yeah, it won't be more than a half point off, probably. So
probably not.
The first game I'm going with. This to me is like the obvious one because I really like this team this year. I'm going to go with the Patriots -2.5 over the Raiders. I like the Patriots a lot this year. I really do. I think Drake May is, I said this to you, Uncle Ted, I think he'll be better than Caleb Williams. I really think he has a lot of talent. I don't love the Raiders this year. And I think the Patriots they're going to be the surprise team. I don't think they're going to a Super Bowl, but I could see them sneaking into the playoffs and having, I guess whatever they call the award, comeback team of the year. I know it drives you guys nuts, but it's just true. I mean, I think they're going to be very good this year. So give me the Patriots over the Raiders -2.5. Second game I'm going to go with the Lions. I have +2.5 over the Packers. And I'm not 100% sold on Jordan Love, guys. I know people love him.
Agree.
No pun intended. I think he's good. I really do. And he can have really good games. But I'm not ready to anoint him as the next Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers of that city. I think he's fine. I think he's good. But I like the Lions at +2.5 there. I like him, and I like him winning too. By the way, I think they'll win the game. And I have finally, this to me was kind of a layup too because I think this team stinks. The Dolphins +1.5 over the Colts. I'm sorry, I've seen Daniel Jones more than anybody in Miami, and I promise you that guy is not winning you football games. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
even his good games, he will find a way to lose, whether it's an interception or running 75 yards in a breakaway and tripping. If you guys remember that play, tripping before he gets to the end zone. And the Dolphins, I don't think are going to be great, but somehow the Dolphins end up being decent every year with Tua. And I hate that coach, by the way, but he ends up doing a pretty good job over there. I think the Dolphins are better than people think. So give me the Dolphins plus 1.5 over the Indianapolis Colts.
All right. So
Mike, were those picks?
Yeah. So
no?
the Dolphins are +1 on ESPN.
Okay.
The Patriots are -2, and the Lions are +1.5.
All right. Do you want to use DraftKings because that's the real betting, or do you want to use ESPN?
Yeah, we could use DraftKings. I'll pull up the DraftKings line.
All right. So it's New England -2.5, Detroit +2.5, Miami +1.5.
Yep, you got it.
Mike, I'm going to go second because I know at the end of yours we also want to give our Mikey Mush pick, so we keep that going.
Yes, we got to play for the degenerates here.
Exactly, they're waiting for that.
Yes.
So my first pick is going to be the Tampa Bay Bucks -1.5. I like Tampa Bay. I mean, I don't think they're a great team, but I do think that they're a pretty good team. I like Baker Mayfield. Jeff, you and I were talking about it before the show. Baker, he puts up some numbers. I think he's in a great situation for himself, and I really like them in this game. I given 1.5. I like the Denver Broncos. I know this is great. -8.5. I think Tennessee is terrible. Terrible. And Cam Ward, the few times I saw him in the preseason, he doesn't look ready. Jeff, this is a situation, like you say, where a rookie quarterback, just because they picked him where they picked him, they're throwing him right out there. I don't think he's ready. And I think that Denver's defense is pretty good. Their offense is okay. They're in Denver. I think this is a bad spot for Cam. And my last pick, I like the LA Rams against the Texans. They're given 3.5. I'll give the 3.5. I'm not a big Texans guy. I think offensively, you saw CJ Stroud struggle when they lost their I don't know if it was the offensive coordinator or the quarterbacks coach last year. They haven't fixed that. I just like them. So my picks are going to be Tampa Bay -1.5, Denver -8.5, and the Rams -3.5. Mikey, what do you got?
All right. So first one I'm going to take, and I'm going to hold my nose and take it, is the Arizona Cardinals -6.5 against the Saints. The Saints are really bad.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler is not an NFL quarterback, but he's going to be starting for the Saints. As much as I love Spencer Rattler, he went to South Carolina. He was great there. He's not an NFL quarterback. And Arizona, I think, is going to make some noise in that division this year. And I hope Kyler Murray is okay. I don't think there's a Call of Duty coming out for a while, so I think he'll be okay. I'm just going to hold my nose and take the Cardinals. I hate that it's a big number, but I'll take the Cardinals -6.5 against the Saints. I am also going to take with you Tampa Bay -1.5 against the Falcons. I think that's an easy game. I think the Falcons are not. Everyone's picking them to be a great team this year and everything else, but Tampa's legit. Say what you want about Todd Bowles. I love what he's put together in Tampa and that winning culture. And Baker is a legit quarterback. So I will take Tampa Bay there as well. And then for my third game, I'm going to take San Francisco -1.5 at Seattle. I don't think Sam Darnold is. I think you kind of saw the rose come off the bloom at the end of last year. As much as I root for the guy and I hope he does well, I think San Francisco's defense is going to eat him alive in this game. So I'm definitely only 1.5 points for a team that everyone thinks is going to be in the Super Bowl for the NFC this year. So give me San Francisco -1.5. So Niners -1.5, I'll take Tampa Bay -1.5, and I will hold my nose and take Arizona -6.5. So three road favorites
Alrighty.
for week 1 in the National Football League.
Now, what about your degenerate mush pick?
All right, so if we recap the one from last week, the Wuhan Open of snooker, and I wish I was making this up, but Ronnie O'Sullivan, who I picked, actually got sick in Wuhan and withdrew from the tournament, so he did not play. So that's a wash from there. Anyone gets sick in Wuhan, I'm staying as far away from them as possible. But so no result there because he did not end up playing in Wuhan. So I'm not sure who won. Let me see who's the winner here. Zhao Gudong is the winner.
That was my second
Gary
pick.
Wilson was second. So Ronnie probably would have took the whole thing, but he got sick. So, and I don't blame him for staying away if you're sick in Wuhan again. So, but this week we're going to Europe this time. We're going to stay away from Asia. We're going to go over to Europe. We're going to go with French handball. We're going to take Paris Saint-Germain's handball team. If you're familiar with soccer, Paris Saint-Germain is like one of the best soccer teams in all of the world. They're like the number one team in France. They have a handball team, apparently.
Mhm.
I'm going to take them -8.5 against the Dunkirk handball team. So I'm going to take Paris over Dunkirk and -8.5. Mikey Mush's pick for the week. Let's have some fun and watch some football this week, though. I am all in for that.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
absolutely. This is what we do. This is for 18 weeks until the playoffs. We're going to just be, in on our couches. Jeff, I'm coming down. I'm going to see you in a few weeks. We're definitely going to watch the Jets and Giants that week. Everybody have a great week. Please subscribe to the show. Listen to us on whatever podcast platform that you listen to your podcasts on. Watch us on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support to this point. Again, email us your picks. You want to get in as a fan? Send us your 3 picks for the week. Okay. And then what we'll do.
Tell a friend about the podcast, please.
But make your picks, send them to us, and then when we review our picks each week, we will review your picks also, and we'll keep track of where you're at. And if you're consistent, great, you could be in with us too. But just remember, if you come in last, you're going to have a punishment. And we're going to have Mikey pick the punishment, which is not a good thing. No. But thank you so much for joining us. Guys, I will definitely be talking to you over the weekend and while the Jets and Giants are playing. But everyone else, have a great weekend, and thanks for joining us.